You know, this is a broadcast of the Ebony Star Network. This is Gangsta Talk. Even though they've been trying to burn this show, we're going to do it tonight. You know, never judge a book by its cover. Right now, Richard Sherman is getting all kinds of ridicule and getting all kinds of criticism and a lot of stuff thrown his way. Usually in a case like this, I would say rightfully so. But I'm not. There's something else going on here that people don't know about. Regular people. Sports people know about this, and sports owners know about this, and they have known about this for decades. But you, the regular people, don't know about this. We're going to find out what this is tonight on Gangsta Talk. Fire it up, Dan.
Yeah, son. There's mad kids out there getting cream for the 9-5, bro. Yeah, and I've been doing this for a long time. You know, shoot the game, going for mine.
Alright.
And this is the year when mad cats get peeled. So I'ma spark this line, kick the reel.
Bang them out.
With all this chaos in the realms of the street, your local street dog got to make ends meet. The average Joe's far too slow for this ghetto pro. You better know, when I hit the streets, I like to glow, I like to glisten. And at the same time, stay low, listen, motherfuck the fame. I'm pursuing the dope. My stilo is symbolic to a kilo. Cash is popping, coke's cooking, beans copping. Ain't that some shit? A player that's used to living rich is now a sticky kid, caught up in a ditch. In 94, Giuliani kicked down the door. In 95, niggas flipped to stay alive. Peeling caps while I laugh. In the stats, the 4.5. Remy in the glass, spark the boom, then I blast. They wanna confine me, sneak up from behind me. Bust a cap in my back and put me where they can't find me. They hate to see a young player pay. I don't wanna see that, son. They'd rather see it spray. But I'm like Diddy, a Terminator, squeeze the lead off. Using verbs and nouns like rounds to blow your head off. Hitting up spots, heating up blocks. Investing in stocks like Colombian blow crops. I'm out to get cream and ain't no doubt in my mind. Fuck this broke shit, I'm hit, I get down for mine. Yeah, get you on. I get down for mine. I get down for this. I get down for mine. I get down for this. On the regular shit, I get down for mine. I get down for this. I hear you wanna be a player. I ain't someplace you bet. Let's play a game of real nigga roulette. With this a DOA as I spray the melee. Contact and punctuation is compared to AKs. You in a daze, overdose for pure funk. I'm fucking off like Tommy Gibb. Become as a Buddhist monk. Decapitated rappers in my trunk. I'm sick, pumping skunk, bouncing with my click, popping mega jump. I'm getting back while these clowns be zigzagging. What's this talk about flipping keys? Come on, you're nickel bagging. I'm blasting off wings and making doubters believe it. You see, I was packing heaters when jokers was banging cheerleaders. Ain't nothing changed, it's still the same in the rap game. I'm known for banging rookies out the frame. Y'all done forgot who was the pimp from the start. Sipping vintage wine, eating a la carte. I'm phenomenal from the abdominal. Far from comical lyrics and sticking the brains like barnacles. Never sweet. I'm bringing the drama to the streets with techniques and rolling in fleets. Ain't nothing sweet about the streets, so I'm poetically ill. I'm pure like cook up and lyrics shine like fish scale. I got the banger at your throat and you ain't showing no signs. K-Dep, let them know I get down for mine. I get down for mine. There it is. And you wanna put your hands in the air. I get down for mine. Let me get it down for hands on the regular. Shake the fingers, you don't fear. I get down for mine. Let me get it down for hands. If you wanna put your hands in the air. I get down for mine. Let me get it down for hands on the regular. Shake the fingers, you don't fear. I get down for mine. I get down for mine.
All right, all right, all right. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to an evening edition of Gangsta Talk, a broadcast of the Ebony Star Network. I am the Black Knight, the notorious gangster simp. How's everybody doing? Shout out to those who will be showing up, coming into the room. All our E Nation supporters. We got a good one tonight, man. It's not going to go the way a lot of people think. Some people think I'm going to show up and bash Richard Sherman. And you probably think that I'm going to sympathize with Richard Sherman. But here's the thing. There's something that a lot of you don't know about. And it's an ugly thing. It's a very, very ugly thing. And it's been hidden away for decades. And we're going to expose it tonight. But before I get started, let me know if I'm coming in loud and clear, Dame. Check. Testing 1, 2, 3. Testing 1, 2, 3. All right, all right, all right. Let's get this thing going. Now, a very famous coach that used to coach the legendary New York Giants, Bill Parcells. He once said during an interview that football isn't for the well-adjusted. And for the most part, he's right about that. It's not. You got to be kind of off to play football to begin with, and kind of crazy to play at the collegiate level, which I was privileged to do for a short time before I suffered a catastrophic injury that ended my career. And then to go play on the professional level, well, someone will probably say you have to be a little bit touched in the head to do that. Okay? And we're going to get to all of that and the reasons why. Now, when we get to Richard Sherman, Dane, put Richard Sherman picture up on the screen, please. Richard Sherman, professional football player, played for the Seattle Seahawks, and then is now on the tail end of his career with the San Francisco 49ers. Now, when he was with the Seahawks, they had a very powerful defense known as the Legion of Boom. I know, because they held off my mighty Pittsburgh Steelers in a shootout. A very, very memorable game. You know, Russell Wilson must have threw 30 touchdowns that day. I think I still see him throwing touchdowns. But anyway, Richard Sherman came off the practice squad, believe it or not. And he was a prototype. He was a wait and see, a very tall corner. I believe he's a converted corner. He converted from wide receiver. Okay. So he has some serious speed. He's not a burner like a 4.2, but his long strides can, track you down. He can hawk you down. I remember he locked down Antonio Brown when the Steelers played the Seahawks. He pretty much had Antonio Brown locked up the whole game. But anyway, now let me explain something to you. Collisions, when a collision happens with a human, all kinds of things take place. It depends on how hard the collision is. When I play football, when you get hit or when you hit as hard as you can, there's an explosion in your brain, like an explosion in your mind. And you can see it in your eyes when your eyes are closed. You can see like these flashes of white light, you know? And that's what we called it. We called it the white light. All right? When I was in high school, a lot of guys had marks and colors on their helmet, okay? Because they led with their head. And so when you hit another football player, the helmets would collide and some of the paint from the helmet would come off. All right? So we had a guy named James Dow, who was one of our linebackers, God rest his soul. He turned into a drug addict and ended up dying of a heroin overdose. But he was one of the best linebackers we ever seen. And he used to have all kinds of colors on his helmet. Now, when I played for Lincoln High School, our helmets were like blue. They were sky blue. And he had every team that we played, he had a color on his helmet. And he would just point it out and tell stories. Okay, here's North Bergen. This is when I hit this white boy and knocked him out. This is Maris. This is Ferris, and so forth and whatever. Snyder, right? Now, in high school, we was taught that a certain way to tackle and hit. And so everything was about the hit, knocking somebody out, knocking somebody unconscious to where snot would come out of their nose. So that's what we knew. That's what we was taught, straight, pure viciousness. We was taught to take the field and do everything we can to send the members on that team that was on that field with us. At the same time, we was taught to try to send every last one of them to their physical and personal destruction. I mean, it was encouraged to hurt other players. That was encouraged. That's what we had in our mind, taking people out. We didn't know any better back then. And when you get to the college level, it's even worse. Now, in high school, kids run pretty fast, but it's kids, but you hit the weight room, you hit each other. The collisions are still kind of tough, but nothing like college. College is a whole nother animal. And then from college, the NFL is even a whole nother animal, way far and away above that. But in college is where you really start to see the separation. When you start to see blinding speed, powerful people, kids who are like nearly 7 feet tall. Average lineman is 6'5", 6'6". In high school, you didn't see it. In high school, you may see a monster every now and then. You may see a kid that was 6'1", maybe 6 feet. That was big in high school. Every now and then. I mean, we had a kid named Irma from Jersey City. If you look up Irma's Kitchen, right? His name is Mark. His mother, her name was Irma, and she had a really nice restaurant called Irma's Kitchen. It might still be there in Jersey City. I haven't looked it up, but and Mark was like 6. He was a freak. He was like 6'4", 6'5" when we were in high school. And he was like 300 pounds, but he was soft. He wasn't vicious. He wasn't. He had a weak mentality for football. He was a big for nothing. Okay, because football just wasn't his thing. He wanted to cook. He wanted to be a chef. You know what I'm saying? So people think because you're big, you're supposed to play football, you're supposed to play basketball. I remember when the singer, it was like 6'7", something like that. I can't get his name right now, but he made that song, Let's Get It On Tonight. Dang. Come here real quick.
Yes.
What's that singer that made Let's Get It On Tonight? It's 101. Let's tonight. Let's get it. Something like that. Get it on tonight. Who was that dude? The tall dude, the singer. He was in it. He was also in the movie with Beyonce and them. That church movie with Cuba Gooding Jr.
Oh. Okay.
The tall brother.
Okay. Wait a minute.
Montel Jordan. Montel Jordan. Okay, I got it. Thanks, Dan. Yeah, so Montel Jordan like 6'7", and people expected him to play. Okay, Dan, you can go ahead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so Montel Jordan, people expected him to play basketball, but play basketball. So society, if you're a certain size or we knew a girl, right, in high school, named Jalila White. He was fast as all get out. I mean, she was like ridiculously fast. If I had to say it, she probably ran a 4.40. You know how fast that is for a little girl? That's fast for an adult. I mean, she was really, but she didn't want to. She didn't want to be an athlete. A lot of coaches came at it. She didn't want anything to do with it. I knew a woman, man, who could sing. I'm not going to say she was Whitney Houston's level, but she wasn't far from it. Lived in Newark, New Jersey, could sing like an angel, but didn't want anything to do with singing. And she knew she could sing. She knew she could walk into the industry, okay, and get a contract because people threw themselves at her feet. Even babyface L.A. Reid, they wanted this woman. Turned them on, and she didn't want to have nothing to do with singing. Nothing. And so, because you either talented or you have an unusual size, or there's something you can do really, really well, society makes your mind up for you what they want you to do in life. Like Mark Irma, he didn't want to play football. He was pressured into playing football. But because he had size, he had this freakish size that was like unheard of for a high school kid, right? And let me tell you something, as a grown man, he didn't grow much higher. He was pretty much already, full grown in high school. All right. So I think he may have put on 1 more inch or a half an inch, and that was it. He was already like 6'7" or something like that, 6'6", 6'7", right? So he didn't want to play football. He was pressured into it. All right. And his heart never was in it. He was like one of the easiest linemen to beat. No matter how many times he got beat, they kept him in there. The coaches used to scream at him, man, you're big, you can do it, you can do all that, you can do all this, isn't it? He didn't want to have nothing to do with it. Eventually he left, and quit the game. Eventually. But what I'm saying is, I used to play guard and tackle. I was a better guard than I was a tackle, even though I was pretty good at the tackle too, but I was an exceptional guard. I was very, very quick, very athletic, very strong up top, had good balance down below. You know what I'm saying? I had a natural wide stance. You know what I'm saying? I could move, laterally really, really well while maintaining my balance. So I was an exceptional guard, okay? There's no doubt in my mind, had I not gotten hurt, I probably would have ended up in the NFL. I was really good. I'm not tooting my own horn, but I was really good. But anyway, forget about me. I remember playing football, and as a lineman, there's nothing but collisions all day long for a lineman. Now, running backs different. Running backs, wide receivers. Wide receivers, if they get the ball, that play, then they get into the collision, but they don't get the ball every play. Running backs don't get the ball every play, but linemen have collisions every play. Every single play. Every single play is the white light. Because you're going up against other big people just like you who are just as strong and sometimes even stronger and hit a little harder. So when you collide, your helmets hit, that paint rubs off on each other's helmet. You're looking at that white light. And sometimes you get a concussion. So what I'm trying to explain to you is football over time damages the brain. Okay? Collision after collision after collision after collision damages the brain over a period of time. Now, that leads me to, you saw the title, NFL Fail. The reality of chronic traumatic encephalopathy, aka CTE. CTE is a brain disorder that develops over a period of time from the head taking a lot of trauma. And the people who suffer from this the most are football players, especially on the professional level. When you get to the professional level, you're talking about super strong dudes. Some of these guys are on HGH. Some of these guys run 24 miles per hour, 25 miles. You know how fast that is for a human being? Some of the linemen run about 18, 19 miles an hour. You have any idea how fast that is? Imagine having a head-on collision with a guy like Bo Jackson, who ran damn near 30 miles an hour, who was already put together like a robot, big tree trunk legs, muscles everywhere, strong as an ox, and running like a 4.140. Some said he ran a 3.9. I believe it. You know how fast that is? And imagine hitting somebody like that full. You have any idea the collision that's going to happen to your skull and the shock that's going to happen to your brain? And people do this over and over, play after play, play after play, play after play. And once they develop CTE, it's a wrap. Everything starts to debilitate. They start to get to the point where they can't think clearly. It affects their behavior. They have memory loss. They start having suicidal thoughts. So this is what I'm saying about Richard Sherman. I'm not making an excuse for him. This is no excuse. I believe this man is suffering from CTE. Richard Sherman is a good dude. I met Richard Sherman, after the Super Bowl, because y'all know I'm from Jersey. I was up there. This is a cool brother. All right. He's down to earth. He could be one of the brothers off the block. I don't believe that this man is an abuser. I believe this man is suffering, and I'm not trying to give him no pass. I'm just trying to educate y'all on something that's been hidden away from y'all for decades. An African doctor discovered CTE decades ago. It was covered up by the NFL. There's a movie out played by Will Smith. You need to go check out that movie, because he found this out when he was examining Mike Webster, one of the legendary centers for the Pittsburgh Steelers. He was suffering from CTE. Now, let me throw a few names out. A young, very, very young Chris Henry used to play for the Cincinnati Bengals. I know him well because he was in our division. Killing us. One of the baddest wide receivers I've seen in quite some time. He jumped off a moving truck and killed himself. And guess who was driving the truck? His wife was driving the truck. They had an argument about her spending some money. And he freaked out. When he died, they found out that he was suffering from CTE. See, some of these players already come to the NFL with CTE and don't even know it, because of their careers in high school and in college. Now the NFL has stepped up his game in the concussion protocol, but they knew about this decades ago and didn't do anything about it. They didn't care about the players back then. All they cared about was money. Imagine what would have happened if parents knew that their boys could develop CTE while playing football. Would they still let their kids play football? Probably not. The NFL was scared to death of this, and they swept this under the rug. Once Junior Seau killed himself, then the dike broke. They could no longer keep it under wraps. When Chris Henry killed himself, they pretty much kept it quiet. Next up came Junior Seau, legendary linebacker, originally for the San Diego Chargers. Ended his career with the Patriots. 500-pound bench presser. The first time he tried to kill himself, he ran his car off of some kind of embankment, and they tried to get him some help. When he succeeded, he actually shot himself in the heart while he was laying in his bed. See, CTE causes a lot of depression, like heavy depression. It causes adverse behavior. It causes suicide thoughts. And it gets worse. It progresses. It can even cause dementia. It can cause you to harm people. See, these are the things that they don't tell you about CTE. Okay? So that leads me to, as far as harming people, that leads me to Aaron Hernandez, a badass tight end that used to be with the New England Patriots. They had a duo between him and Rob Gronkowski. Aaron Hernandez suffered from CTE. He became a murderer. And then ultimately he took his own life. Bubba Smith died from CTE. We didn't even know anything about that, but you see, he was part of that cover-up. Again, the NFL knew about this decades ago and did nothing about it because it was about money. They did not care about these players' lives. A lot of these professional athletes, especially the NFL, are suffering from CTE. And we look at them and we say, okay, Richard Sherman. And then all you got to do is look at the behavior. The behavior doesn't make sense, right? He breaks into his house or whatever and try to burglarize his house. This is the type of stuff that doesn't make any sense. See, we looking at this man like he's a criminal, right? But you see, playing ball myself, and I play ball, and I've been a part of those collisions. I know what those collisions are like. This man plays cornerback. His job is to hit people as hard as he can to stop them. So he is going to be in a lot of collisions. I believe Richard Sherman is suffering from CTE. I'm not saying his behavior is excusable. What I'm telling you is I believe he's suffering from CTE, chronic traumatic encephalopathy, which is a brain disorder that causes memory loss, suicidal behavior, suicidal thoughts. It can cause people to go out and harm other people. And the older you get, the worse it gets. This is a disorder that progresses over time to the point to where you become so depressed, you either kill yourself or you kill somebody else and then kill yourself. And sometimes you just die from it. But it's a very, very serious disorder that's brought on by a lot of brain trauma from these head-on collisions. A lot of these professional athletes are suffering from CTE, and you don't know about it. And like I said, when you're on the outside looking in, when you see them freaking out, you think that, oh, okay, it's this, that. But what you don't know is on the back end, what's caused them to do this? How many people knew that Aaron Hernandez? Now, check this out. We're going to have Dan come up here and pull up some articles real quick. Dane, let me know when you get up here, okay? I got an article I want you to look up.
Okay.
Look up Aaron Hernandez and get that article. Let me know when you got that article.
Okay.
I want y'all to hear what Aaron Hernandez did, right? And when he killed himself and they did the autopsy on him and found out that he was suffering severely from CTE. And the reason why I'm doing this, because I want you to understand the kind of behavior that happens to someone when they have this kind of brain disorder, so you don't think that somebody is making excuses. I want you to hear what this brain disorder does to people. It's serious. It caused a young man who had everything to live for to jump off a moving truck and kill himself. Just out of nowhere, because it caused a legendary linebacker to just kill himself in his own bed. Shot himself right in the heart. Okay? So, all right, you got that article?
Okay. Okay, on June 26, 2013, the nation woke to the sight of a star.
Okay. Hold on one second. This was about Aaron Hernandez, right?
Aaron Hernandez.
Okay, y'all. I want y'all to listen to this. This was this was the tight end that was a part of a duo with Ron Gronkowski. Okay, over with the New England Patriots and Tom Brady. This was a young man. Okay. All right, Dane, read.
Okay, on June 26, 2013, the nation awoke to the sight of a star player, one of the NFL's model franchise, being escorted out of his house by police. A T-shirt pulled over his cuffed wrist. New Orleans Saints tight end Aaron Hernandez was charged later that day with the murder of Odin Lord, whose body has been found 6 days earlier near Hernandez's home. Since that day, before he was found dead in his prison cell on April 19, 2017, Hernandez was charged with 2 previous murders and implicated in the shootings of 3 other people in 2 separate incidents dating back to his college days. Here is a timeline of what news involved when Hernandez has emerged since 2012. September 30, 2007, 2 men are shot in Gainesville, Florida, and 4 Florida football players are questioned, including freshman tight end Aaron Hernandez, who was never charged but remained a person of interest until March 2017, when Gainesville police closed the case after a witness who was identified who has identified him, recanted.
Mm-hmm. All
July
right, now
16th.
stop.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead.
Okay, July 16th, 2012. Uh, two men are killed in a drive-by shooting in Boston South End. Police initially had no suspect. The Golf, the Golf, the Boston Globe reports the incident, which at the time had no immediate connection to Hernandez.
Mm-hmm.
August 27, 2012. Hernandez, a rising star with the New England Patriots, signed a 41 million contract, the second largest ever for tight end. He donated 50,000 to charity, touching the heart of the team's owner. February 13, 2013, Alexander Bradley is found shot in Riviera Beach, Florida, hours after spending an evening with Hernandez at at Miami strip club.
All right.
Mm-hmm. Oh, there's more.
Now, okay, go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Just a second. Scroll too far up. Oh, come on now. Okay, wait. Let me too far down.
All right, go on mute, Dave.
Okay.
All right, now, Aaron Hernandez. Now, one thing I want you to pay attention to. One of those murders, he was a freshman in college. Very, very young man. Remember, I said some of these players already coming to the NFL with CTE and never knew that they had it and was never diagnosed for it because they developed it during high school or college. Okay? So, now, let me tell you why he killed these people. I told you CET screws with your thinking. It causes you not to think straight, right? It causes all kinds of wild and erratic behavior. He killed these people because they talked about him. Not because they did anything to him, because they talked about him. So one would clearly say he wasn't in his right mind, right? He wasn't. Now, Dane, come back in for 1 second.
Yes.
I want you to get the article about CTE. Okay? The one you was reading earlier before we came on. All right? Let me know when you got that. Go back on mute. Let me know when you got that, okay?
All right, I got it.
All right. Go ahead and read to us what CTE is and what it causes. This is chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Go ahead.
Okay. CTE is a term used to describe brain degeneration likely caused by repeated head trauma. CTE is a diagnosis made only at autopsy by studying sections of the brain. CTE is a rare disorder that is not well understood. CTE is not related to immediate consequences of late-life episode of head trauma. CTE has a complex relationship with head trauma, such as persistent post-concussive symptoms and second impact syndrome that occur early in life. Experts are still trying to understand how repeated head trauma, including how many head injuries, and the severity of those injuries and other factors might contribute to the changes in the brain that result in CTE. CTE has been found in the brains of people who play football and other contact sports, including boxing. It may also occur in military personnel who is exposed to explosive blasts. Some signs and symptoms of CTE are thought to include difficulties with thinking and emotions, physical problems, and other behavior. It's thought that these develop years to decades after head trauma occurred.
Hmm.
CTE cannot be made as a diagnosis during life except in those rare individuals with high risk exposure.
Hmm.
Researchers do not yet know the frequency of CTE in the population and do not understand the causes. There's no cure for CTE. Researchers are currently developing diagnostic biomarkers for CTE, but none has been validated yet.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, Dame.
Mm-hmm.
You can go back on mute now. I appreciate your help.
All right.
All right. Now, a couple of things we learned. CTE is brought on by constant head trauma, repeated head trauma, which is what football players do. CTE also causes difficulty thinking, cause emotions, suicidal thoughts, cause people to behave erratically or irrationally. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I have played football, and I know what those collisions are like. I've never played on the NFL level, but I don't need to know that the collisions on the NFL level are 10 times harder than what I ever felt, maybe 20 times. Okay? These guys are super strong, super fast. And it's like listening to car crashes out there. All right? And these guys get up play after play after play after play. Okay? When Richard Sherman is no more and the Lord has called him home, and they do an autopsy on him, I'm willing to bet you they will find an advanced stage of CTE. 1 second. Now, I'm sorry, y'all. I'm eating too. Now, I know people want me to go in on Richard Sherman, but I don't believe that this man is an abuser. I believe that this man is suffering from a debilitating disorder known as CTE. Now, does that excuse his actions? No, it doesn't. I think that he needs to be away from his wife, possibly his children for a while. I think he's a danger to himself and to them. Now, there's no cure for CTE, but maybe he can get some kind of therapy or help or something. And he's not the only one that go through this. A lot of times when we see these star athletes fighting, putting their hands on people, domestic violence, let me tell you something, running backs also are involved in many, many collisions. Ray Rice, hundreds of collisions, thousands, hundreds. Now, I understand we don't want to hear this because he committed domestic violence. Let me tell you something. I would be the first to jump on the Negro. Okay? But this right here hit kind of home with me because I know what it's like. I played ball. I know what those collisions are like. I know what happens to your head. Okay? I know the shock that your brain feels with these head collisions. And CTE is real. CTE is not an excuse. It's real. Okay? And they sure enough don't have a cure for it yet because if they did, they'll be curing nothing but white people. They won't care nothing about the Negroes. But they can't even cure white people because there's no cure for it. You know? And what it does is it slowly debilitates a person in every way. Their mind, the way they think, their behavior, it just slowly tears them down. It's kind of like building a brick wall 50 feet high, right? And then coming back later, getting up there and taking it down brick by brick. And right now, I believe this man is suffering from CTE and he's a danger to himself. Because when they start acting out, now you can't really trust anything because they're liable to do anything. It depends on how bad they suffer from the CTE. How advanced is it? They're liable to do anything, kill themselves, kill you. I mean, you know, at this point, when they start acting out like that, I mean, you can't trust them. My recommendation, should he be around his wife right now? No. Should he be around his kids right now? No. No. If they can get him any kind of help at all, they need to give it to this man. Okay? And I'm telling y'all something. The NFL knew about this a long time ago, decades ago. They knew that these guys were suffering from CTE decades ago. And they kept it under wraps. They did nothing about it. I don't even know what happened to the African doctor who discovered it. I'm not sure if something happened to him. They paid him to go away. I don't know what happened to him. You know. And then you have to understand something too, right? Richard Sherman is black. He's a famous athlete. So whenever one of us is in trouble like that, of course they're going to pile on the monkeys. It's the white man's chance to, you know, add on extra, you know, blow things out of proportion. And let me tell you something. In no way am I excusing domestic violence. Not excusing that. I'm saying that his actions, he needs to pay for his actions. And I think that right now he's too much of a danger to even be around anyone. Because he's starting to act out. Once they start acting out and they got CTE, man, like I said, they're liable to do anything. There's no telling what they'll do. They're not safe to be around. So I think that somebody needs to keep him away from his wife and his children before he ends up hurting one of them. And then, you know, they tried to get his guns away from him because they probably think he's suffering from CTE too. Excuse me. And I blame the NFL for a lot of this because they didn't want to lose any money. And because, you know, the league was dominated by Negroes, you know, they didn't care. They didn't care at all. But chronic traumatic encephalopathy is real, people. It's a it's a crippling disorder that gets worse over time. And a lot of ball players, football players, are suffering from it. Now, am I saying that their behavior should be excused? No. What I'm saying is try to understand. This information has been kept from you. You don't know what these guys are going through and what they're suffering from. You just see the outside when they freak out and they do something crazy. But you don't know what's causing it. You don't know that CTE is behind it. Now, I'm only talking about professional football players. I ain't talking about regular Joe Smo, Nunu and them, or, around the block. I ain't talking about none of them. Okay? I'm talking about professional football players. That's what I'm talking about, because they are the ones they're at the highest risk of getting CTE because of the collisions, the repeated head trauma. That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about JoJo and them from down the block, Bebe and all of them. I ain't talking about none of them. And you figure, right? This is a seriously educated man. This man graduated from Stanford. This is not a dumb man. So you figure, why would he do something like this? Because CTE causes you not to be able to think clearly. It interferes with your thinking and your cognition. It interferes with all of that. It interferes with your moods. It interferes with all of that. And it's sad because we're on the outside looking in, and we're not being told the truth about what's really behind all of this. We think this man is a big bully. We think he is an abuser because we really don't know him. And he's a big time ball player. And the first thing come to our mind, okay, it's domestic violence. Then, he a piece of crap, right? But what doesn't go into your mind is that he's suffering from CTE. And people who suffer from CTE will engage in this kind of violent behavior because CTE screws with your behavior, your ability to think clearly, your memory. You suffer memory loss. You have one player who suffered from CTE so bad, he can remember everything except his wife and children. He cannot remember his wife and children. This CTE thing is serious. This is why the NFL changed its protocols and changed a lot of things in the NFL. The NFL is watered down now. They got rid of the wedge on kickoffs, which was dangerous to begin with. You had to be a nutcase to be on the kickoff team. And again, to echo what Bill Parcells said, football isn't for the well-adjusted. A lot of these guys come out of impoverished homes, come off the street, gangbangers. Richard Sherman came out of a war zone. So Antonio Brown was homeless at one point, living house to house. Mike Webster was living in some kind of Mike Webster was living in his car. When Franco Harris went over there to see him, I mean, what the hell are you doing? They didn't know that he was suffering from CTE. And so football not being for the well-adjusted, I concur. A lot of these guys, if they went to the NFL, They'd probably be out committing crimes because they aren't well adjusted. They come from too many bad backgrounds. And football is their ticket to the big time or their ticket to the, to easy street. And they're willing to sacrifice their brain to do it. But understand something. Their parents aren't being told the truth. Now think about this. Some of y'all in here have children. Okay? Those of you who have boys who want to play football, if you know that there's a strong possibility that he can develop CTE from playing football, would you still let him play? A lot of parents would say, hell no. But this is what the NFL was afraid of decades ago. And this is why they covered it up. And they even covered up the people who was dying back then from CTE. And they was talking about, oh, he died from natural causes. Oh, he didn't know. Bubba Smith died from CTE. How many of y'all know Bubba Smith? That's one of Dame's favorites. Yeah, cognition. Thanks, thanks, Yvette.
Okay.
Exactly. He fought with the police. You see, again, take into account, right, what I said about CTE, right? It causes adverse behavior. You see, when a person is suffering from CTE, they aren't thinking clearly. They're not thinking rationally anymore because the occurrence from the CTE is interfering with their natural thought patterns. Okay? So it's hard for them to think straight. They're going to do wild and zany things like fight with the police, which has got to be crazy doing that with the way these cops are murdering people. But you see, when you suffer from CTE, this is not something you think about because, again, you're not thinking clearly to begin with. You understand? You're not thinking clearly to begin with. Hold on one second, y'all. Huh? Yeah. Okay, all right. Dane, take it for one quick second. I got to move my truck. I'll be right back, y'all.
Okay. And was also not mentioned, before he got to the in-laws' house, he was in an accident. I don't know why they call it a hit and run, but he hit his car struck a concrete barrier. Yeah, state police. Yeah, Washington State Police said that about 1 a.m. they received a report of a single car incident. A car struck the concrete barrier. So, but when they got there, the person who drove the car wasn't there. So they did they ran out of plates, and they were given they went to the address, and that's when they found him, and they had to help the police over there deal with him. Yeah. So Emmanuel Briggs, yeah, that happened before he went to his ex in-laws house. hmm So he probably had a concussion from the accident, which probably agitated the CTE and impulse, um, lack of difficulty thinking, probably had a memory loss, impulsive behavior, aggression. So let me see. So his he hasn't been charged. He hasn't been charged with domestic violence, specifically to burglary charges. um, not because of violence against any family member. Okay, no, he was charged with domestic violence, specifically to burglary charge because he was trying to break into the house for his relation to his in-laws. That's the in-laws' house, not because of violence against any family member or significant other. But they checking into his connection with the accident. So there's a charge on him for the accident. So, as I was saying, the accident probably did not help. It could have aggravated CTE, gave him another concussion, which he didn't need.
Okay, I'm back. Thank you, Dave.
Hmm.
Now, some of you might say, "Hey, Max, man, you should be going in on this guy because of domestic violence." Yes, I'm not excusing his actions in any way. Okay, of course I'm not. But what I'm trying to get you to see, I'm trying to get you to see something that you should have seen or you should have been shown decades ago. The NFL should have came clean decades ago about this disorder because it's dangerous. It changes a person's behavior. It causes a person to be homicidal, suicidal. It causes all kinds of erratic behavior, dangerous behavior. It blocks the person's natural ability to think. And this is all kept away from you. And so when you see these players and they act out, you don't know why they get to pile on the monkey and say all kinds of bad things about him and say, "Oh well, he was a burglar." This man is no thief. This man has a ring on his finger worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. This man got long paper. This man is not a thief. It makes no sense that he would burglarize his own house or his ex-wife. That makes no sense. What is he stealing? See, we have to start looking at things from a more real. See, this is the problem I have about people who are being educated in Western institutions of higher learning. Okay, they teach you not to think. A lot of people, especially black people who come out of these things with degrees, no longer know how to think. You cannot exercise common sense, nor can you formulate your own thoughts. Everything is a regurgitation. Everything is an intellectual uniform. Everything is some kind of procedure or something that's customary. It's always some arbitrary set of so arbitrary set of rules about this and that. You don't even think for yourself anymore. This man has a long paper. What the hell is he doing burglarizing his ex-wife's house? You think he has to burglarize somebody's house? This man doesn't need to steal it. This man doesn't need to steal something from anyone. See, a lot of times they put a lot of trumped up charges on black men. Sometimes they get cleared, sometimes they stick. What they do with us is they throw all this stuff on us and they make us prove that we didn't do it. Even if we didn't do it, we still got to prove we didn't do it. And if we can't prove it, then the charges stick. That's what the law does to us as black people. They don't do it to anybody else. They do it to us. They catch us in one act and throw the charges of many other acts on us that we didn't even commit. And then we have to go and prove that we didn't do those other acts. And if we can't, guess what? you get stuck with the charge. Okay, this man is not stealing anybody. This man is not breaking into somebody's, burglarizing somebody. For what? This kind of stuff that pissed me off. People are not using their common sense. I blame the NFL because guys like him and more players in the NFL who freak out like him won't get the benefit of the doubt because they don't know what you don't know about a debilitating brain disorder that can cause dangerous behavior. You didn't even know it existed. And the NFL knew about this decades ago and covered it up, paid everybody hush money to keep their mouth closed. But when Junior Seau killed himself, that pretty much blew the lid off of it. You understand? And they could no longer keep quiet. Then all of a sudden they want to change their protocols and stuff. To my understanding, they tried to stop that movie from coming out. They tried to block it from coming out. The one that was with Will Smith. I don't know the name of it. If anybody can get that movie, type it in the chat. Can't get the name of it right now, but the NFL actually tried to block that movie from coming out. But once it came out, you know, they had to do something. So they started changing all their protocol, started changing the rules. You know, you can't hit a defensive receiver. You can't do this anymore. You can't build a wedge anymore. You can't do pretty much. It turned into a glorified game of touch football. Pretty soon it's going to be flag football. May as well, because you can't hit anybody anymore. So, but why do this now? You see, if the people had known about this a long time ago, then you could jump in the NFL face to them, oh no, why are you covering up? Why are you all of a sudden you doing this now? They're doing it now because they got caught and they can no longer cover it up. So they got to make it look like they give a damn when they really don't. They never did. They didn't care then, and they don't give a shit now. They're doing this all for money. They ain't doing this for black people or athletes. They're doing this for money. All they care about is their bottom line. They can give a shit about you. Okay? They don't give a damn about what happens to you. And a lot of these ball players are suffering from CTE, and they're not even getting diagnosed because it's hard to diagnose CTE until after you're dead. And people don't know about this. Ray Rice, you know, knocks his wife out in an elevator in front of everybody. Okay? This is not normal behavior. Richard Sherman burglarizing his ex-wife's house. Come on, man. This is not normal behavior. And you know what kills me is people look at this stuff and they just go right with the headlines. They go, well, whatever white people say. And never stop to ask yourself, hey, man, this is a rich man. This is a man with 2 Super Bowl rings. This is a man with endorsements. This is a man got money. What is he doing burglarizing somebody's house? That should give you pause. What's wrong with him? It's got to be something wrong with him. He don't need to steal. Same thing with Darren Sharper. And I can't condone this behavior. Yeah, I've been date raping people. But when he dies, I wouldn't be surprised if he was suffering from CTE. And you know what? And listen, don't think that I'm trying to make excuses for these guys. I'm just trying to shed some light on something you should have been told about decades ago. and because you didn't, a lot of these guys are being read wrong in the NFL. They're being read wrong. When you look at them, you don't think that they're suffering from a debilitating brain disorder. They look healthy. For the most part, we say, hey, man, these guys are healthy. They strong. They play football. They run 100 miles an hour. Ain't nothing wrong with these guys. Was something wrong with a lot of them. And let me tell you something. Richard Sherman is not going to be the last football player that's going to be involved in some kind of domestic shit due to a CTE. If you was to meet Richard Sherman and talk to Richard Sherman, Richard Sherman is a very cool, down-to-earth brother. Would never give you the impression that there's something wrong with him. But when you running a 4.5 40, which is extremely fast for a tall human being, and you got them head-on collisions, and over a period of time, your brain starts to debilitate, and it causes this kind of erratic behavior, you know. What's upsetting me about the whole thing is that you don't know about it. Everyone in this chat room should know about CTE. But the NFL covered it up. They didn't want you to know that these players were suffering from a debilitating brain disorder. They didn't want you to know Ray Rice was suffering from a debilitating brain disorder. Ray Lewis's brain is turning into mush right before our eyes. He's becoming less and less verbal. He started to sound like this. Zip, zip, zip. And the Lord says, is this? Zip, 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 zip. He's starting to get that zip thing on. Like he punch drunk. His CTE is probably advanced. You're talking about a man who notched over 200 tackles a year in the NFL. That's super elite. Over 200 solo tackles a year. I remember when he broke Rashard Mendenhall's shoulder. Dude, it's like a Mack truck. And it didn't even look like he hit Rashard Mendenhall that hard. Broke his shoulder. So you're talking about a guy, man, who notched over 200 tackles for years. This dude was the best of the best. He was the elite of the elites. You think he ain't got CTE? Have you listened to him lately? Because it messes with your motor skills too. And like I said, he done went from, hey, how you doing, to, Ziz, how you doing? This is Ray Lewis. He went from, hey, how you doing? This is Ray Lewis. Welcome to ESPN. To ESPN. Same thing with Ronnie Lott. Ronnie Lott can't even talk. You're talking about a guy that will hit you so hard he'd knock himself out. He can't even talk. They had to get him off the air. He was on some, he couldn't even say, good morning, everyone. Welcome to ESPN. Welcome to ESPN. He couldn't even say that. He was like, good morning. ESPN. Yeah, and what I want to say is the play was, and the play, and he backed up, and he couldn't even talk. They had to get him the hell out of there. He couldn't even talk. Imagine how advanced his CTE must be. You're talking about a man that was a speeding bullet when he hit you as hard as he could, and didn't give a damn about knocking. He would knock himself out, knocking you out. Ryan Clark, the same way. It started to show on him too. Another hard-hitting safety. Okay? But anyway, I wanted to come on here and talk about this. I'm sorry for those who thought I was going to come on here and shit on Richard Sherman. I feel bad for Richard Sherman. I feel bad for what he's going through. I feel bad for that his brain is deteriorating right before our eyes and we don't even see it because we don't know about CTE. I feel for his wife because right now he's too dangerous to be around her or his children, if he has children. Because like I said, once they start acting out, you can't trust them. There's no telling what they're going to do. There's absolutely no telling. They can kill themselves or they can kill you too. It don't even matter. There's no telling what they're going to do. So I just wanted to bring your attention to this chronic traumatic encephalopathy, a debilitating, crippling brain disorder that gets worse over time. I hope I made you think about something tonight. And try not to judge this man too harshly. I'm not excusing his actions. But try not to judge him too harshly. Because he's suffering from CTE. A lot of these players are suffering from CTE. And we don't know about it because we were never told about it. The NFL covered it up. And with that being said, I'm at the end of my rant, my presentation. So we're going to open the mic up. We're going to bring my host back up in here, see how she's doing. She's not a big sports fan. We'll see what the Dane wants to talk about. Dane, what do you think about the show?
I think it's very informative and something we don't be talking about. We've seen the surface of these players. There's sometimes we be thinking, what is the matter with you? How can you do something so idiotic, stupid?
And listen, let me tell y'all something, right? Be aware of Pop Warner, because CTE doesn't have an age limit. It can develop in young kids too, if they keep, absorbing head trauma. So watch out for Pop Warner too, and them little league football teams. Go ahead, Dan.
Yeah. And then some stuff don't even show up.
I'll be right back, Dan. I gotta go on mute for a minute. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Tell me a little bit more about CTE.
Okay. Some of the symptoms don't even show up until later in life. Or let me see. Like, here are the symptoms. There are no specific symptoms that have been clearly linked to CTE. Some of the possible signs and symptoms of CTE may occur in many other conditions. So you might be thinking this person is suffering from another condition when it's possibly CTE. And a few people with proven CTE signs and symptoms include cognitive behavior, mood, and motor changes. On the cognitive impairment, difficulty thinking, memory loss, problems with planning, organizing, and carrying out tasks. executive function. So that's what's going on. Behavior changes, impulse control and aggression. Last thing we need in football players is impulse control and aggression. Okay, mood disorder. Now this is the one that concerns a lot of people too, besides the behavior. Depression or apathy, emotional instability, substance misuse, and suicidal thoughts or behavior. These are the
Mm-hmm.
ones we kind of see the most of.
Mm-hmm. So,
But we don't know why. Why would football player making 41 million be depressed? Or
mm-hmm.
you don't even realize he's depressed. The apathy is when you're depressed, but you not have no awareness of it. It's just like everything's like mm-hmm.
Uh, or a
Yeah,
legend like, Junior Seau, who had everything to live for, multi-millionaire. Just, one day took a 45, shot himself in the chest, killed himself.
mm-hmm. Suicide thoughts and behavior. And how many football players we heard on drugs?
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. Substance misuse, drugs, weed, alcohol, jukes. A guy who spent $1 million in a strip club. Impulse behavior.
Exactly. Truth is, and I blame the NFL because CTE should be well known by now.
Yeah.
See, what the NFL was afraid of when the doctor found this out, they knew that they was going to lose like a gazillion dollars. Okay, because if parents know the extent of this debilitating brain disorder, they're not letting their kids play football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm telling you right now, and I'm a man. If I had a son and I knew that he can get CTE, ain't no way in hell I'm gonna let him play football.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna encourage him to do something else. Maybe play basketball or baseball or some shit, but not football.
Mm-hmm.
I'd rather them go into boxing is safer than playing football. Well, if you take too many hits, you can get punch drunk and start sounding like a goddamn kazoo. But and this is what the NFL. If the NFL had brought this out decades ago when it was discovered, the NFL wouldn't be no near as successful as it is today. You would probably see a bunch of foreign players in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
You would probably see a bunch of foreign players like they did in basketball with the Dirk Lewinsky's and the Mano Ginobili's. Shout out to Mano Ginobili. He was badass though. I can't hate on Mano Ginobili, man. Mano Ginobili was a bad motherfucking man. Get that foreign brother his props. He was bad. But anyway, and you think about the women, right, who have sons, the fathers who have sons. Harry Carson was saying on one of the shows, had somebody told him he could develop CTE, he would have never played. And Harry Carson was a legendary linebacker for the New York Giants that played with the legendary Lawrence Taylor. That whole core, you had Lawrence Taylor, Gary Reasons, Carl Banks, and you had Harry Carson. He said if he known he can get CTE, he would have never played football. And and the NFL knew it. I'm telling you, they knew this, and they covered it up. They knew what it was. They knew what it can do to people, and they covered it up. And when you see these players acting now, they're going on drug binges, jumping out windows, jumping out of moving trucks, killing themselves like Chris Henry. You don't think none of you think, okay, he was okay, what? Chris, listen, Dame. Bring up the Chris Henry article. Okay? Let me know when you got it.
All right.
I want y'all to hear this, man, how tragic this was. This was a young man. He was bad as all get out. I used to hate Chris Henry because he played for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he used to kill up. They called him the Steeler Killer, right? But nonetheless, when he died, people didn't think nothing of it. They thought he just flipped out. He was arguing with his wife over some, some decorations, and he just bugged out. Yeah, CTE. It was discovered after he died that he had CTE. Dude just jumped out of a moving truck and killed himself. He ran when his wife got into the truck and was driving off. He ran out of the house, jumped in the back. They arguing while she's driving. He's in the back, okay, arguing with her. And he told her, if you don't stop, I'm going to jump out the truck and kill myself. She didn't stop. He hopped out the truck and killed himself. Let me know when you got that article, Dan.
Okay.
You got it?
Yeah.
All right, take your time, get yourself together. And like I said, you see, when Chris Henry died and they found out that he had CTE, they still didn't give a shit. They didn't change something in the NFL. They didn't change the rules or nothing. They didn't do anything until Junior Seau killed himself. At that point, there was nothing that they can do to cover it up because Junior Seau's family, if it hadn't been for, and I hate to say this, that Junior Seau sacrificed his life for the greater good. I know how that may sound, but it may have been necessary for Junior Seau to sacrifice his life. Or you may never know about CTE. Because the NFL didn't say shit about it then, and they wasn't trying to say shit about it. But you see, Junior Seau's family did the right thing by donating his brain to science. And that's when they found out that he was suffering from an advanced stage of CTE. And at that point, there was nothing the NFL could do to keep it covered up anymore. So what they did was, okay, we're going to fake and act like we give a shit, and we're going to start changing the rules. We're going to turn the game into a glorified game of fucking flag football. Okay, Dave, you got that article yet?
Yeah. Cincinnati.
All right, hold on. Okay, relax. Okay. Let me properly introduce the article.
Okay.
All right, y'all. This is Chris Henry. At the time, was a young wide receiver and a very good one for the Cincinnati Bengals. I think it was Cincinnati Bengals. Yeah, Cincinnati Bengals.
Yes.
All right. All right. I want you to hear about what happened to him. Go ahead, Dane.
Henry, 26, died day after dispute. Cincinnati Bengal receiver Chris Henry had died one day after falling out of the back of his truck, in which authorities described as a domestic dispute.
Okay, now stop. They changed the report. Okay, the initial report said he jumped. His wife also said he jumped. They changed it to falling out. The reason why they changed it to falling out, because of the CTE. Because if they would have said he jumped, that's a whole different understanding. So they tried to make it out to be an accident because they were still trying to cover up CTE at the time. Go ahead.
Yeah. All right. Henry was no stranger to trouble. Indeed, his multiple arrests during a 5-year NFL career was among the factors prompting the league to toughen its personal conduct policy.
Hold on, stop. Hey man, hey, truth is on, man. Let me highlight this comment.
Uh-huh.
This is what I'm talking about. Football is a man-to-man sport that gets really that gets really physical. So something like CTE should be expected and be aware of. Exactly. You setting folks up to get crazy, knowing something is clearly wrong with their mind. Exactly. That's why I blame the NFL. You just put it in a nutshell right there. It's truth. The NFL knew exactly that this shit could happen, and they did nothing about it. All they did was cover it up. They knew that these guys would go crazy after a while. They knew that they would develop CTE over a period of time and did nothing about it. They knew about this shit decades ago. An African doctor discovered this shit decades ago. Go ahead, Dane.
Mm-hmm. But to hear his teammates tell it, even the team owner, the Bengal receiver was determined to leave behind his troubled past and move ahead towards a bright future.
Now, at the time, this coach was Marvin Lewis. In my opinion, really wasn't a coach, but, you know, black power, I guess. You know what I mean? He was a black man and he had a job, so I ain't gonna hate on him for that. But it wasn't really much else going on. He wasn't really no damn coach. But that's why the Bengals never fucking won anything. But but black power, he's a black coach. You know, I give him that. But this young man, I'm gonna go with the initial report because they covered it up and changed the report. He jumped out of that truck. He did not fall out. He jumped out. Okay. And witnesses said he jumped out. His wife said he jumped out. He even told his wife he was going to jump out. And he killed himself.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I don't know how fast she was driving, but she had to have been driving pretty fast because he was very agile, very athletic. I'm pretty sure in a pickup truck, if he would have jumped out, I mean, he should have survived.
He got dragged. Mm-hmm.
They didn't say that.
The Wikipedia said he did. Let's see.
Well, Wikipedia, you got to be careful with that. Go ahead. What Wikipedia said.
Okay. Let's see. He fell out the back of the truck. Okay.
Now, people, y'all know me. I'm hardcore pro-black woman, okay? I'm the first nigga that will jump on a motherfucker for putting their hands on a black woman. And still, I'm not even excused. First of all, is his wife black? Richard Sherman's?
She looks, yeah, she's black.
Okay, I'll be the first one, and I'm not condoning that, okay? Even his wife tried, listen, I believe his wife knows something too, right? Because she told the cops that, you know, he probably just need to leave. He's going through something right now. She didn't try to condemn her husband.
Mm-hmm.
She probably knows he's suffering from this CTE. She probably knows it and probably tried her best to deal with it, but he's starting to get dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
This is what happens to them. Their behavior keeps debilitating,
Mm-hmm.
and it starts to become dangerous. And you see, and people will like I said, right? Normally I'd be all over a motherfucker, you know, white hand, black hand, and white supremacy. This naga says it, but this is different. I'm almost certain I know what's behind this behavior. This is not a normal man that we this is this is a sick man that's suffering from a debilitating brain disorder that's breaking him down brick by brick. This is not an abusive man. He's being torn apart by this debilitating and crippling and deadly brain disorder. And I'm gonna tell y'all something, man. People who never played football ain't a damn thing you can tell me. You can't say shit. I play ball. Okay? I done had violent collisions. Hell, one one stole my goddamn career. I had one collision so goddamn violent it ended my goddamn football career. So I know all about these violent collisions and this head trauma. I had motherfucking marks on my helmet too. This shit is no joke. And this CTE shit is real. Ain't nobody making this shit up. This shit is real. And it causes people to go crazy, even to the point where they get dementia or just flat out kill themselves or kill someone else. Okay? Usually, the ones who kill people turn around and kill themselves. Aaron Hernandez killed people, then killed himself, committed suicide. Junior Seau committed suicide. I'm not sure if Mike Webster committed suicide. I believe he just died in his car. There was another brother who committed suicide. I don't think it was Anita's Williams. It was another famous NFL cornerback. He committed suicide as well. CTE. So this is all I'm saying, man. You know, when it comes to these guys from the NFL, I'm not saying you should excuse their behavior. Okay, but look at it from a different angle, man. It's not just these guys being criminals and wanting to, beat up on women or whatever. A lot of these guys are suffering from this brain disorder called CTE, something that the NFL should have brought out in the open decades ago, and maybe by then, had it been known decades ago, we might would have probably had some kind of treatment for it. Today, they still don't have no real treatment for it, except to not play football.
Mm-hmm.
So I blame the NFL for this all around. And like I said, and these guys are getting misjudged because they're looking at it, oh, well, you're just a bully, whatever. But you don't realize he's suffering from CTE. And I'm willing to bet you, when a lot of these guys go to their grave and get these autopsies, you're going to find out that they were suffering from CTE. Go ahead, Dane.
Okay. Yeah. Let's see.
I'll be right back. Now I got to jump off for a minute. I'll be right back.
All right. So they said head trauma. Okay, well. Okay, play. All right. Oh, yeah, and then Chris Henry had a history, um, a little criminal history, mostly because he had drugs on him. He was driving around without a driver's license. He was driving on influence. He allowed 3 females under the ages, 18, 16, and 15 to consume alcohol. Let's see. Let's see. He's suspected of drunk driving. A substance abuse. His was mostly like substance abuse, violation of parole, uh, throwing a beer bottle at somebody, and then it was a mistaken identity. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah, trauma to the head. They found no evidence that she was reckless or excessively speeding, and there was no alcohol in Henry's blood system. So he wasn't drunk when he did that. But
Okay, I'm back.
mm-hmm. Yeah, okay. Yeah, he died on December 17, 2009, when he was dragged from a moving truck that his fiancee was driving after a verbal altercation. An autopsy revealed that Henry had developed chronic traumatic accept CTE.
Exactly, truth. You know, I'm not saying excuse the person's actions. I'm not saying that. We don't condone violence against anybody, you know, especially black women. But these ball players are in a different category. There's a lot you don't know
Mm-hmm.
about why they're behaving the way they're behaving.
Mm-hmm.
You know, a lot of these guys are good guys, man. They come out of impoverished backgrounds, wanting all their life to make it and do something right. These are not criminals. These are not guys who are looking to abuse people. Richard Sherman is a cool. I met Richard Sherman. This is just a cool dude, man. Down to earth.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know, but people don't know about CTE. What did you? What is that?
That is
Oh,
him
okay,
with
there
his
he
wife.
is. Right.
See that?
I mean, does that look like a man that will? I mean, come on, man. You know, it just really bothers me because I'm really upset with the the NFL because people don't know about this stuff.
Mhm.
You know, and then when they see these guys go through this, man, they automatically judge them the way white people judge them. You know, white people start throwing all these goddamn charges. Oh, he's a burglar. He's. Man, get the f out of here. This man don't have to burglarize anybody.
Mhm.
And people kill me, man. People so damn feeble-minded. You go with anything you hear. You don't use your common sense. You don't think for yourself. You only think the way white people want you to think. And they teach you that when you go to their institutions of higher learning. When they are whitewashing your brain and turning you into a goddamn ventriloquist dummy. And then when you get out, they stick their hand up your ass and start pulling your strings with their fingers. And you say what the hell they want you to say. You think what they want you to think. And you stop thinking for yourself. Common sense to tell you this man don't need to burglarize anybody's house. There's got to be something else going on here. Go ahead, Dane.
Yeah. And you gotta understand, before he went to his in-laws, he was in an accident. He could have had a concussion, disoriented, and you don't know what was going through his mind.
I think he needs to retire. He
Uh-huh.
needs to retire and try to live out his life as best he can before the CET gets even worse than what because the more he plays football, the worse it's going to get. The man don't need any money. He don't need any more accolades or fame. We all know he's Richard Sherman, legendary cornerback from the famed defense, the Legion of Boom, which will go down in NFL history as one of the badass defenses of all time. He doesn't need anything else. He needs to give it up now, retire, try to at least get some therapy for his mind.
Mm-hmm.
Go to Africa, see if they got some herbs that can help his mind or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and try to retain what's left of his brain health.
Yeah.
Because if he continues to play football, it's going to get worse. The more you have these collisions, the worse it gets. And like
Yeah.
I said, once they start acting out, then they start becoming dangerous. You know, Ray Rice, I'm kind of glad Ray Rice ain't playing football no more. Even though he was a bad dude, but I'm glad he ain't playing football no. I'm glad he got kicked out while he was still young. Hopefully, he can get some help for his CTE.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you
Yep.
know what I'm saying. Now, some players, right, have a very strong mind and can stave off CTE for years, but eventually they will succumb to it. You know. Now not every football player get it, but a lot of them do. Some players, get out of there without getting it. Like kickers, kickers will probably never get CTE because they're never involved in collisions. You know, well, one or two collisions every now and then is not something that's going to happen, and most of the time they're getting tripped up anyway. Okay, quarterbacks don't really suffer it that much because they don't get hit in the head a lot. You know, the people who are really at risk for it are linemen, running backs, cornerbacks, and linebackers. Okay, especially cornerbacks because they're bearing down on you at top speed. With every intention on knocking you completely from your senses. That's why Ronnie Lott can't even talk, man. Man, I hate to say it, but Ronnie Lott sound horrible, man. And I was so mad that, you see, they don't give a damn about us. They will put us on TV knowing this man can't even talk. When they put him on TV, man, I was so damn angry that they put him out there like that. And Emmitt Smith pissed me off. He gonna sit there talking about, man, he died a slow death. Man, why didn't you help him? You're gonna sit up there and look at him and don't do nothing, knowing that he can't even talk, and they got him out there like that. I mean, it was horrific, man. It was horrific. You know, but hopefully Ronnie Lott gets some help. As far as I know, that they haven't really found a treatment for this yet. It's definitely no cure for it. They're still studying it. It's still pretty much, foreign to them. You know, it may be beyond their knowledge. They may need to bring in doctors from around the world because, after all, an African doctor found this. An African doctor was the one that discovered it. You know, it wasn't American doctors. Okay, so it might be more. It might be more than they can, handle. It might be more than they can deal with. So they may not have enough intelligence to deal with this. And with that being said, y'all, I am sleepy.
Mm-hmm.
Dame, how are you doing?
I'm walk. I'm kind of a little bit. I am.
All right, do you
So,
want to stay on, or you want to
oh
pack it in?
no, no, I'm going to end it because this
All
is
right,
not my
y'all.
feel.
Okay,
Yeah.
definitely
Oh,
not. I let Dame hang out with me, and I told her I was going to Yeah. Kind of like shell shock, but it's more to it than shell shock. It's a deeper, like a deeper brain injury that causes a lot of bad things to happen to you, man. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Again, y'all, it's called.
Not to mention, if it doesn't do anything else, like a Bubba Smith, it'll put you in dementia early.
Yeah, early. Again, y'all, it is called chronic traumatic encephalopathy. Chronic traumatic encephalopathy. CTE. And with that being said, then get the music queued up. We're getting ready to get out of here. I don't know what happened to the notifications. A lot of people didn't get the notifications. But, we're working hard to get out from under this shadow ban. We're getting ready to move. We're going to start moving everybody over to a new channel that we're working on. Okay. We'll let everybody know when the new channel is ready. We're going to move everybody over there to get out from under this shadow ban. And we're still going to be doing shows over here, but we're only going to do certain shows over here. Like Gangsta Talk, we'll do over here, and we'll do the Overdrive over here. But our new shows, our other shows are going to be done on the Power Network channel. All right? Because we're going to be squeaky clean over there. Yeah, we got some new shows we're going to be doing over there, y'all. But we got to get out from under the shadow ban. They're killing us with this shadow ban. I mean, they on us heavy, man. Like we are fucking outlaws and shit. I mean, they fucking on me and Dane like we Bonnie and Clyde. You understand what I'm saying? So they hard. I mean, they after us hard than the motherfucker, but we'll beat it. We'll get around it. But with that being said, y'all, with the support that we get from y'all, we'll beat it. And I think I know why we shadow banned, because Gangsta Talk is pretty heavy. And they don't like Gangsta Talk at all, people. When we launched Gangsta Talk, about I think the second show or third show, they started smacking Gangsta Talk around, bro. So I think it's Gangsta Talk. They've been after us ever since. But anyway, we'll keep it over here. We're going to start preparing the new channel, the Power Network, and we're going to start moving everybody over there. Okay, we're going to start giving the link out to the Power Network soon so everybody can subscribe. And then we're going to start slowly doing shows over there. All right, everybody. And with that being said, Dan, you got the mix queued up?
Got it.
All right, everybody. We're going to get on out of here. See you for Ladies Night. Peace, power, and unity. Dan, get us out of here.
Yeah, son. There's mad kids out there getting cream for the 9-5. Bro. Yeah, and I've been doing this for a long time. Shoot the game going for mine. Alright. And this is the year when mad caps get peeled. So I'ma spark this line, kick the rib.
Bang them out.
With all this chaos in the realms of the street, your local street dog got to make ends meet. The average Joe's far too slow for the ghetto pro. You better know, when I hit the streets, I like to glow, I like to glisten. And at the same time, stay low, listen, motherfuck the fame. I'm pursuing the dope. My stilo is symbolic to a kilo. Cash is popping, cookies cooking, beans copping. Ain't that some shit? A player that's used to living rich is now a sticky kid, caught up in a ditch. In 94, Giuliani kicked down the door. In 95, niggas flip to stay alive. Peeling caps while I laugh. In the stats, the 4.5. Remy in the glass, spark the boom, then I blast. They wanna confine me, sneak up from behind me. Bust a cap in my back and put me where they can't find me. They hate to see a young player pay. I don't wanna see that, son. They rather see him spray. But I'm like Nitty, a Terminator, squeeze the lead off. Using verbs and nouns like rounds to blow your head off. Hitting up spots, heating up blocks. Investing in stocks like Colombian blow crops. I'm out to get cream and ain't no doubt in my mind. Fuck this broke shit, I'm hit, I get down for mine. Yeah, get yours. I get down for mine. I get down for this. Get it on, put your hands in the air. I get down for mine. I get down for hands on the regular shit. Turn no fear. I get down for mine. I get down for this. Get it on, put your hands in the air. I get down for mine. I get down for this on the regular shit. I hear you wanna be a player. I ain't someplace you bet. Let's play a game of real nigga roulette. Witness a DOA as I spray the melee. Contact and punctuation is compared to AK. You in a daze, overdose for pure funk. I'm fucking off like Tommy Gibb. My karma's a booty smoke. Decapitated rappers in my trunk. I'm sick, pumping skunk, bouncing with my click, popping mega jump. I'm getting back while these clowns be zigzagging. What's this talk about flipping keys? Come on, you nickel bagging. I'm blasting off wings and making doubters believe it. You see, I was packing heaters when jokers was banging cheerleaders. Ain't nothing changed, it's still the same in the rap game. I'm known for banging rookies out the frame. Y'all done forgot who was the pimp from the start. Sipping vintage wine, eating a la carte. I'm phenomenal from the abdominal. Far from comical lyrics and sticking the brains like barnacles. Never sleep. I'm bringing the drama to the streets with techniques and rolling in fleets. Ain't nothing sweet about the streets, so I'm poetically ill. I'm pure like cook up and lyrics shine like fish scale. I got the banger at your throat and you ain't showing no signs. K-Dep, let them know I get down for mine. I get down for mine.